guilty verdict. They were sentenced to 10 days in jail suspended, 20 days supervised release, and a substantial fine. The same individual is also responsible for the illegal burn. We had a problem with heavy smoke in our subdivision. I got a call from several residents. They were complaining that somebody was burning huge piles of debris. The fire department went out there. Unfortunately, they did have a burning permit, so they were allowed to burn. But the smoke was thick enough to where it was like somebody had a smoke machine at a concert, and it was really bad. We have 2 minor children and 1 adult that has severe asthmatic conditions in our neighborhood. So I reached out that Sunday to the EPA. The following Monday on the 25th, I was contacted by an EPA representative. I gave him the photos and also a description of what was going on. He said that an individual from, let me make sure I get this correct, the North Carolina Department of Air Quality would contact me. So on the 26th, I was contacted by the North Carolina Department of Air Quality. I explained things to them, sent them again the pictures. They believed that what he was doing was illegal. What they did was they transported to that residence 2 large dump truck full of, it looked like when you clean a property, there were roots, stumps, and things of this nature, and piled them up into this big 8-foot pile and then lit the thing on fire. There was several vehicles in our neighborhood that were covered with soot, and it was just pretty bad. Anyway, the North Carolina Department of Air Quality said that they were going to send an investigator out there. They did send one, and I was contacted on the 29th. The North Carolina Department of Air Quality investigator, she stated that he was in violation of state law. There is this big North Carolina ordinance I could read to you, but it's probably not necessary. He was aware that he was cited and told he was violating state law. You're not allowed to move or pile up debris from a commercial landscaping job onto a residence and then try to dispose of it. They were trying to eliminate the disposal fee at the dump. So they were again cited, and I imagine he's tired of hearing my name. So the other thing I wanted to talk to about tonight is the traffic light. I'd like to, we're having problems getting out, especially with the increased development across the street here. There's a lot of traffic that keeps coming into increased traffic, and it was tough enough before to come out of Hardwood right here at the intersection. If you're going to come out and take a left turn, you know, say your Hail Marys and give it your best shot. According to what I've read, under North Carolina law, NCDOT guidelines, and an intersection with a 45-mile-an-hour speed limit and a minor road driver, which is what we would be coming out of, what they consider a minor road, must have at least 500 feet of visibility. At Hardwood Drive, we have at best 300, at best. And that's if I cut all the limbs back, and which I've done multiple times to try to get as much clearance as possible. For a left-hand turn, 500 feet for a left-hand turn, 430 feet for a right-hand turn. Now, I walk the distance, and then I step out about a yard step, so I'm a pretty big fellow. So it's about it's 300 feet to where the edge of where you pull out on that street to where you take a look to the left, where you can see, and that's at best. A car traveling 45 miles an hour will close that distance in under 5 seconds. Now, I pulled out of Hardwood Drive, sat there, hit the gas, pulled out, and by the time my car had straightened out and started heading straight, that's 5 seconds. And a lot of these people will come around that corner better than 45. And they're on your bumper telling you how many scratches you got back there. So I'm concerned about that. We really have two exits out of our subdivision. Both of them are on turns or curves. The one out in the back on Lindenwood and Waxhaw Indian Trail, you have 160 feet of visibility. They're coming out of this traffic light here at the corner, and by the time they hit that corner, they're doing every bit of 45. So they're at speed, and we have less time than we have on our front gate. So what I'm asking for is a little help, maybe some pressure to put with NCDOT to see if we can, at the very least, put one traffic light. I'm hoping they put one at 84 and Hardwood Drive to try to put some pressure on them to give us a safe exit out of the subdivision. We've had several accidents and near misses at that intersection since I've lived there, and so I'm asking for a little help.
Thank you, Mr. Oliver.
Thank you, ma'am.
All right. Amy, was there anyone else?
That's all.
Okay. All right, so that leads us to the additions, deletions, and adoption of the agenda. I do need to make the butterfly presentation 4A and ask that 4B become the flood study for the East Fork 12 Mile Creek tributaries. And that Union County is here to give that presentation. Do I have any other additions, deletions to tonight's agenda? All right, then I'll take a motion to adopt the agenda as amended.
Motion to adopt agenda as amended.
Second. I'll second.
Seconded by Boyce. All in favor? Unanimous? All right, I will call it Miss Christina Culp.
How are you all doing tonight? I'm going to give you a sticker. Yeah, that's a good one for your water bottle. There you go. There you go. There you go. You're welcome. How do I change the...
I can do that for you.
Okay, thank you.
Just kind of nod at me when
Okay, thank you. Perfect. So I'm Christina Culp. I'm the Director of Habitat Builders. We are the North Carolina Wildlife Federation chapter in this area, the western side of Union County. When I first moved here, I learned that Union County is really, really big from one end to the other, so we kind of split the county up. So I'm also a Union County Master Gardener. You can go ahead. So our mission is to educate and engage our community about the importance and benefits of restoring, protecting, and conserving our wildlife and natural habitat. We host free conservation-focused events. Those events include Arbor Day programs at local elementary schools, educational events about wild flora and fauna, we do both, volunteer events like invasive plant removal, pollinator garden planting, maintenance, and tree plantings. We also do nature walks, bird walks, moth nights, nature scavenger hunts, all those things. And since our inception in 2019, we have hosted almost 60 educational events and 110 volunteer events. Next. We've even hosted some of them right here, actually right there. So last year, on the 21st of October, Rupert Medford did a talk in this room about coyotes, and I believe the room was pretty full. I think we had about 80 people, right? But when I look back at my notes, I had a feeling I had been here before that. So over the last 4 years, we have been planting trees at the local elementary school. We plant 2 trees, do an educational program before that. It's usually with 3rd graders, occasionally kindergartners. It's a different slant when it's them, but that's okay. And you can see the number of students that we have talked to, and they participate in this. And then last year we also did National Night Out with you guys on the 7th. Next. So we are a chapter of the North Carolina Wildlife Federation. Next. And there are, I should have counted how many there are, but there's less than 100. There's maybe 25 chapters across the entire state. And that organization has been around since 1945. And they are focused on the same things we're focused on. They're just a bigger organization. Go ahead. Luckily for all of us, we are located in an area where these 4 chapters You can go to events to any of those within a driving distance. They're all very close to here. 2 of them are in Mecklenburg County and 2 are in Union County. And we all do similar events and volunteer events and educational events. So it's good to get on the calendar and see what's going on with all of these chapters. So one of the programs that the North Carolina Wildlife Federation does, apparently they do t-shirts too, is the Butterfly Highway. And of all the programs that are out there, it's one of the easiest programs to be a part of. Really, go ahead to the next one. All you need to do is focus on some pollinators. And to do that, you just need to plant some plants to focus on them. So the reason they wanted to focus on pollinators is that since the 1970s particularly, but it's really been going on longer than that, insect decline has exacerbated over time. The charts are just like this. And on the one hand, you think, oh yeah, there's not flies and bugs around me, but those bugs are really purposeful. Go ahead to the next. This has all happened because of overdevelopment, urbanization, intensive agriculture, overuse of pesticides and herbicides, invasive species, and climate change. Go to the next one. And the reason that this is an issue is that most of our plants benefit from pollination. They don't all require it, but they benefit from it. Insects are also kind of the basis of the food web for all of our wildlife, and maybe some that aren't native here. But bigger maybe than all of that, and maybe more important to us personally, is E.O. Wilson, who is an entomologist since the 30s probably. He's been preaching this gospel, that if the insects disappear, so do we. We are very tied to them, maybe in a more positive way than we realize. You can go to the next one. So the solution, in the North Carolina Wildlife Federation's eyes, is to get yourself on the Butterfly Highway. You could do it right here on this campus. All you need is a few native plants that are also pollinator plants, which most of them are. You can see signs there. One of those is a school, that's Rocky River School that we did a garden for. The other is Marvin Eford Park, and the other one is the garden that's at the Ag Center that the master gardeners take care of. So any size helps. One plant is enough to get your sign. So go ahead and do this. There are almost 5,100 pit stops across the state. There are lots more people that are doing this. They just didn't put it on the map. So it accounts for about 30,000 acres of land that is helping to support pollinators. That's pretty cool. Some of it is a container and some of it's 100 acres, right? Go ahead. So all you need to do is create a pit stop here, i.e. a garden. It can be very small or it can be bigger. You add native plants to that, you put your garden on the map, and you buy a sign if you want to. That's if you can get your plants for free. And I know some people who have some plants. I know a couple, I'm looking at one right now probably that has some. Really the big cost here is the sign, and I think it's $30. So this is not an expensive program to do. The big idea here is that this is an awareness campaign, so that everybody that comes here can see that you guys are on the Butterfly Highway, it's a cool sign, and then they want to do the same thing. So you want to share that with social media and all that kind of stuff. Minimally, you want to start tracking their newsletter. It is a really good newsletter, and it has really cool pictures like that on our computer. Go ahead, Liz. The next thing that you guys asked about was the Mayor Monarch Pledge, and it's really tiny written there. That is a National Wildlife Federation program. The National Wildlife Federation and the North Carolina Wildlife Federation are friends, but they do not, one does not report to the other. They work together, but that's about it. So, you can go to the next one. So the big picture here is this is a city-level awareness, not just a garden that we put here on this campus or in your park down the street. It is trying to bring awareness to everybody in the area and anybody who comes through here. But the mission is very similar to the Butterfly Highway. It's more focused on monarchs, but guess what? Whatever helps monarchs helps all the pollinators. So the idea is that between December the 1st and March the 31st, your mayor signs a proclamation. Of course, Amy has to draft that proclamation, and then you sign it. And then you complete at least 3 of the 30 action items that they have on their list. And then you complete annual progress reports. Go ahead to the next. I'll give you some ideas about what some of the action items are like. Create public monarch, I call them monarch support gardens, they don't call them that, but it makes sense. Do invasive plant removal. I can't tell out there, but I'll bet you got a few out there in the woods. Share educational material, and that can be in, a newsletter, it can be on the wall, it can be social media. Convert roadsides and vacant areas to monarch support gardens. Work with HOAs and residents to do the same. Create a monarch neighborhood challenge. There's all kinds of things you can do. And most of these do not cost much money. Go ahead. So what we did in Marvin, we just signed it, the mayor just signed this on the 1st of December of last year. And so we have done a lot of work around this program. The program was actually brought to Habitat Builders instead of us bringing it to them, which was a little turned upside down, and it worked out really well. Habitat Builders and the Village of Marvin worked together on all of this, especially with the marketing part of it. So we created garden options that were for the residents or for HOAs, with a group called My Home Park, and you can look them up. They are an organization that sells garden kits. So you just buy kind of a DIY, however they do it yourself, DIY. We also did presentations to HOAs and requested them to plant gardens in their common areas. We presented to the Marvin Elementary second graders, and that was a cold day in February when we did that. And they knew everything about monarchs, by the way, so 7 years old is all you need to understand that. We created a logo and social media campaign, and then we also shared all of this stuff on our website. Go ahead to the next. We have 3 neighborhoods that either have or will be planting a monarch garden in their common areas. We're hoping that Marvin Creeks is really big because it's got really big space to do it. Go ahead. And then we were fortunate enough to be bringing in a new park online. It's right at Village Hall if you've been there. And we had an area in that was previously going to be daylilies and azaleas, I think. And they let me do that. So what I ended up adding 220 plants in the same space that we were going to have about 20 plants. So anyway, we're building a butterfly garden over there, and it should be a 3-season butterfly garden. But we also have a rain garden in this same park with 500 plants in it. And this was all planned ahead of time, so we just kind of got on that wagon with that. But we also added 2 new demonstration gardens at Marvin Eaker Park. We did park cleanup days, invasive plant removals, which we do anyway, but this was now part of the Monarch Mayor's thing. And we added a new seeded meadow, which I was telling Deb earlier. It's very happy with the rain. It's so much better because it doesn't get much water. So we're doing all of those things at Marvin Eford that are public gardens that people can come and see. Go ahead. So the next steps from me to you is that we would love to host more educational and volunteer events in Wesley Chapel. We would love to help you create a pollinator support garden on the village property so that you can get on the butterfly highway. And help you implement the Mayor Monarch Pledge for Wesley Chapel if you're interested. Now's a really good time to be planning it because you can't sign it until December anyway. So that's about when we started in Marvin last year, was in the summertime to get this rolling. And of course, we will continue to host Arbor Day events for Wesley Chapel Elementary School. They sign up every year, so that's awesome. Everybody does it. So I think that's, go ahead. Yeah, so do you guys have any questions for me? I'll
You
let
do
you
anything
2 whole minutes.
Okay. Do you do anything with Newtown Elementary?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's most of the elementary schools on this side of the county, but a few kind of ease over into
Because
Woodruff.
it's technically Wesley Chapel too, so we
Oh,
just want to
okay.
make sure that they
Oh, I didn't know that, okay.
They were all included. Yeah.
They are included. Yeah.
Those are the only 2 schools we got in there.
That's great.
Police Academy.
Yeah, and they participate pretty readily as well. You know. Any other questions?
Could a copy of the PowerPoint be shared with council?
100%. Yeah, you got it. I'm
We have
sorry.
it.
Yeah.
Do we have it?
Yeah.
And the links, you can, use the links, because I've got a couple of links in there for you to check out some things. And that's how you can get in touch with me. You can also visit our website. We have lots of information out there.
So you started in December with Marvin.
Mhm.
You got in the proclamation, did the planting in the late winter, early spring?
So we did the planting, most of the planting in the spring. Yeah, we started Marchish, I guess, maybe a little, it was early March, with some of the stuff at that park. The new park, we didn't have any control over when that was going to happen. We just did it as it happened. But with the demonstration gardens, I don't think I did those until April. But in my opinion, fall is a much better time to do it. It just wasn't an option this time around. We will be doing more in the fall as well. More
And
planting.
how much support is Marvin giving these gardens now that once they were planted?
When you say support, what do you mean?
Irrigation, maintenance, replanting, all volunteer?
Yeah. But our park staff is really good. We have a small park staff, but they are helpful with mowing around it and not mowing it, the meadow and things like that. And they help us with bigger maintenance, but mostly it's our volunteers that help with the day-to-day kind of stuff. And, with the last 2 weeks, it was day-to-day kind of watering things, but it won't be like that next year. It'll be better.
So you're expecting that with what you've planted and everything else that, 1, 2, 3 years?
Well, I said that the other day, the third year is when they just really go crazy, and I think native plants do it on the second year. If they survive over, then they're going to be what they're going to be the second year, right? And they start propagating. And then it's more of a matter of moving these plants out and sharing them with other people. That's where you end up in there too. Yeah.
Council, I think it sounds wonderful, and I would like to maybe ask council to make a motion to move forward with the coordinating our participation in both programs.
I make a motion that we proceed with the Habitat Builders, working with the Monarch and the Mayor's Monarch Promise.
Gladly second that.
Any further discussion?
Awesome.
All right, all in favor? All right, so
Yay.
Deb will be in touch.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Nicely done.
Alright. And then that brings us to our 4B, the flood study for the East Fork 12 Mile Creek tributaries. That's great. This one won't be as easy. Ooh.
Hopefully
I didn't
we'll
know they
have
were
those up
native.
there.
Alright, let's see. Exciting things around here. Well. Wow.
This looks like a more,
That's fine, as long as you switch pages, that's fine. All right, well, good evening, my name is Brian Hawkins, I'm a stormwater engineer for Union County. This project was a collaboration, I guess, between the village of Wesley Chapel, the town of Indian Trail, and Union County to look at some flooding issues that were occurring kind of around the 3 jurisdictions. Some 3 specific areas. Can you move on to the next one? Those 3 areas were specifically the Winding Creek neighborhood, which is off Potter Road down in the south, it's the southernmost part of the study area. Melrose Place in Wesley Woods. The Wesley Woods is the neighborhood in Wesley Chapel. It's had, I imagine, a number. I don't get the phone calls anymore, but I imagine they get you guys get a number of phone calls from them because of the flooding issues. They're immediately downstream of the Taylor Glen Pond. Off of Wesley Chapel Stops Road. And then Melrose Place is just north of them, they're off of Rogers Road, near the Rogers Road, Wesley Chapel Stops intersection. So these are all particular areas that you have had multiple phone calls on. The goals and objectives of this study was primarily for Winding Creek. It was just to evaluate what their conditions were with respect to what we knew about what was supposed to flood based on FEMA studies that were done. The Melrose Place and Wesley Woods neighborhoods didn't have flood studies done, so the primary goal of this was to do a flood study to really understand what exactly the situation was in those particular areas. And then based on the results of those studies, evaluate potential flood mitigation solutions. So those solutions weren't necessarily studied, they're just sort of recommendations as to how we can go forward to help correct the issues that are occurring. So phase one of the study was the data collection. There was extensive data that had to be collected through Wesley Woods and through Melrose Place. Because the studies didn't exist, that data collection included LiDAR data through the contractor's subcontractor, which collected topography, culvert data, pond outlet structure data, and then the available data from FEMA, USGS, and NRCS was used. Ground truthing FEMA geometry, that was primarily for the Winding Creek neighborhood. That was essentially just an evaluation of what did FEMA use to do their study, and was it essentially correct. Bronte Lane, which is in Winding Creek, there was an evaluation done on the culvert that they have, and the Rogers Road Pond, which is contributing to the flooding in Melrose Place. So the study, starting with the Winding Woods, the Wesley Woods subdivision study. This was a brand new study. There was no FEMA data available for this area. And based on that study, the 25-year storm event, we studied the 25 and 100-year storm. The 25-year storm showed that area, there's already 11 homes in that area that are at risk of flooding during a 25-year storm event. Not only that, but the Wesley Chapel Road and Woodhurst Drive culverts failed in that storm event, and those roads overtopped, which limits access across them during a 25-year storm. The 100-year storm added another two homes in that neighborhood that are now at risk of flooding. And not only that, but all 5 of the roads in the study failed during the 100-year storm. So they all saw overtopping during the 100-year event. The home on Woodhurst Drive is incorrectly shown as 911 Houston Drive. I think it's actually 1008 Woodhurst Drive. So that was a mistake identified on the table. Aside from the obvious risk of flooding of the structure, the primary concern with these is that failure of these culverts and overtopping of the roads has a detrimental effect to the access to these homes during those storm events. If the culvert at Brandon Court fails, then 8 homes lose access because they only have one way out of Wesley Woods. If the culverts at Woodhurst and Houston Drive fail, that's a total of 36 homes have no access in or out of that to or from their home. Moving on to the the Melrose Place subdivision, there was a flood study that was FEMA provided, or has, up to the home that's identified on there as number 7. It stops there. They didn't extend it. So this part of the study was to collect the necessary data to extend that study up to Rogers Road, which is it's outside of this image, but it's just to the right of this image. And the evaluation of that study identified that there were 10 homes that were at risk. We only did a 100-year storm because essentially it was just an extension of the existing 100-year storm, 100-year study that FEMA had. So there were 10 homes identified in here that were at risk of flooding as well. That was primarily to give Indian Trail some additional information for the people who would call and complain about potential flooding that's going on in their backyard and fears about risk to their home. They're considered in an X zone, which is an area of minimal flooding, just because the FEMA didn't do the study. But based on our evaluation, they really are at risk. They're likely going to be recommended to get flood insurance if they don't already have it. Because as it is right now, they're modeled into a Zone X, which significantly helps them with the cost of their flood insurance, yet they clearly have that they're at risk as it is right now. So, considering for what can we do to correct these, the consultant basically went through, and when we had initially started this project, the thought was, what can we present that would significantly reduce the risk to the individual structures in Wesley Woods? And based on a very preliminary evaluation at the very beginning of the study, it was pretty much identified that there was no possibility that they were ever going to actually be able to expand the Taylor Glen Pond to be big enough to actually reduce the flows through that neighborhood to significantly increase or reduce their flood risk. So rather than wasting a significant amount of time to try and figure out how big that pond actually was, they reevaluated what they were going to recommend to at least at minimum try to maintain access to that neighborhood during the flood events. So the recommendations here, these are obviously best case scenarios. If you wanted to maintain access across all 5 of these crossings during the 100-year storm event, and I don't know if I want to go through each individual one, but all of those little flags identify what would have to happen at that intersection or at that crossing in order to maintain the 100-year flow to pass under the road and have the road not over top. Most of those are replacements of single pipes to triple, and I think they're all triple, with the exception of the last one, which is just an addition of 2. And these are fairly large pipes, 66-inch pipes, 72-inch pipes and less. And then they estimated the cost of replacing all 5 of these locations at $1.25 to $1.5 million. And that's to maintain access during the 100-year storm across all of the 5 roads. The next alternative was just to maintain access for the 25-year storm, which would include revisions to the crossings at Wesley Chapel Road and Woodhurst Drive. That's obviously significantly less work. There was only two crossings that failed during that storm event, and the estimation for that one was $250,000 to $315,000 to correct those 2 crossings. So when it comes to Melrose Place, again, that was more of an analysis of what was the situation at the time. There are potential solutions to reduce the flooding in those areas. The reason there's a higher potential to correct that problem is because the pond that's generating that issue has a very significant amount of open space around it, so it is possible that pond could be revised. It has no true outlet, so basically what comes in when it's full to its outlet, what comes in goes out. So obviously putting in an outlet structure could help to decrease the flooding there, but that was we didn't go too far into that. That would require a significant amount more studying to figure out how that pond path would change, and that was sort of left with Indian Trail as a potential solution. It's up to them whether or not they want to move forward with looking at that. So the Winding Creek neighborhood, they looked at 2 different areas. Bronte Lane, which is, I wish I had a sort of a blown out version of the Winding Creek neighborhood so you had an idea of this, but Bronte Lane, there is an area upstream of Bronte Lane that is currently under development. It's a neighborhood, it's in the county. I forget the name off the top of my head, but it's still under construction, and the problem is that pond is a sediment pond that is basically not controlling water because it's a sediment pond. They had a bad storm event probably about 2 years ago, and they saw a significant amount of flooding at the intersection, or at the cul-de-sac of Bronte Lane. So the consultant went through and evaluated the culvert, and found that even under standard conditions once the upstream neighborhood is built, they would still have to upgrade the culvert underneath Bronte Lane to a 48-inch concrete pipe in order to pass the 50-year storm. Now, typically, they're not designed to pass the 50-year storm, but that was just thrown out there as a way of satisfying the issues that they're having. Just putting a number out there so that we could look at it in a little bit more detail, depending on how the county wants to proceed with that. That estimated cost is $130,000 to $160,000. And then Schiller Drive is the main driveway through Winding Creek. It is in a regulated floodplain. It's been a well-studied floodplain. In fact, they went through a whole flood study and map revision when the bridge was built. The bridge of Schiller Drive was built. The issue that they had, a specific issue that they were experiencing was during a flood event, water can't get out of the road into the stream, even though the stream is flowing below the road. So the stream wasn't actually overtopping the bridge. It was just water that was getting trapped on the bridge, couldn't get off. So their recommended solution to that was to open up some curb cuts to allow it to basically give it a secondary way of draining, because essentially the tailwater condition on the drainage system was preventing water from getting off the road, and giving it a secondary option to evacuate would solve that. The only other part that they looked at with Winding Creek was they did an evaluation of the existing conditions out in the woods, in the floodplain area, to make sure that there was no evidence of flooding getting outside the limit of the mapped FEMA boundary, which they didn't find, which essentially made the floodplain pretty consistent with the existing flood study for that area. I think that's it. So, and that's basically the results of the study. We didn't go too far into detail with regards to the extent to the design measures to correct any of the problems. That was we knew at the beginning of this was primarily just an idea of getting our hands on what the problem was, and then we could extend the study further if there was a direction that any one of the jurisdictions wanted us to go in to look at corrective measures.
Were the studies limited to just the communities, or did they also take into account other state-supported roads? For example, the Winding Creek neighborhood, recent floods in that neighborhood have impacted Potter Road. Did you guys look at what improvements would need to take place at Potter to move the water?
No, because the Winding Creek neighborhood, or the Winding Creek study, it was just an evaluation of what the state flood study already had, or was to make sure that what they were studying was not off base somewhere. There was not a significant regraded area that was creating a problem that the flood study that the state offered was not accounting for. And so the state flood study shows that Potter Road will overtop during the 100-year storm. So we didn't look at how to correct that, because it's just a well-known, it's been documented through the state flood studies that that's what it's supposed to do.
And I'll say too, we had to be, my name's Lee Jensen, I'm the planning director for the county. We kind of had to really focus in on what we were studying. It was a $30,000 study. So there was shared 3 ways between the jurisdictions. So that's, and I think that our consultant even kind of helped us out a little bit on that, because that's a cheap flood study. Just to give you an example, how long ago was that grant we applied for? What was that, 2 or 3 years during COVID? I think it was like 6 years. Yeah. We did a joint grant application, BRIC program, it's a federal grant program. And we weren't awarded the grant, but the budget for that it was well over $1 million. And it was going to study a good portion of Union County from looking at flooding and how it impacts infrastructure, roads, water and sewer, and houses. Of course, that wasn't awarded, but to do a study of that size, which I would love to do, they're extremely expensive. You need upwards of millions of dollars to do those. We'll probably try again at some point. Those funds are kind of going away, but I think the BRIC grant was reauthorized for next year, so hopefully we'll find something. I did want to add too that any of the solutions, especially if you're dealing with roadways, these are all NCDOT roads, so they will need to be at the table as well. You know, some of them seem pretty simple, like the one in Limey Creek. If you're just, I just as my non-engineering term, if you're just punching a couple holes in the the road to let the water drain, then that seems pretty simple. But you do have to involve NCDOT because it is their road, they maintain it.
So for example, if you're talking about Winding Creek, I mean, you talked about the neighborhood still being under development,
Yeah.
but that the pond is not working correctly.
Well, the pond right now is a sediment pond. So whenever the site is under construction, as long as everything's destabilized, it's actually under the jurisdiction of the state land quality section, so it has to act as a sediment pond to prevent sediment from leaving the site. The problem with sediment ponds is that they don't have controls, they don't have quantity controls, so basically it fills up, and the point of it is to fill up and have sediment storage volume so that if a storm happens every few days, it has a chance to fill up, it settles out, it drains very slowly, it takes a number of days to drain out. The problem is because there's no controls, if you get one storm over another, the first storm fills it up, the second storm basically just washes right through. There's no, when it's completed, it will have an outlet control structure that will reduce its runoff for, in this particular case, I think that was approved before we changed our rules, so it'll control storms up to the 25-year storm. But as it is right now, if the pond is full, like right now it's probably filled up because we've had a couple of real quick showers come through here that have probably put a significant amount of volume in there. If we get one really bad storm event, there's nothing, it's not designed to control the water from that last storm. Back in 2018, we were having problems all over the place because we were just getting storm after storm after storm, and every sediment pond was just, it couldn't handle it. So that's the issue that we have with sediment pond kind of sites that are under construction, is because we have no authority to regulate it until their sediment pond, until the state gives them approval to convert their sediment pond to their permanent pond.
I'll say too, a lot of the flooding issues that we experienced sort of right before COVID and during, the COVID area, that's when we were also in the process of updating our comprehensive plan. And a lot of those flooding issues fed over into some of the recommendations that went into our comp plan. So a couple of things that came out of that were, we did upgrade our stormwater rules, 50-year storm events is what we mandate now. And one of the other ones that came out that we're still kind of researching, it's not implemented yet, I hope at some point we're going to get there, is looking at downstream, like when a new development is proposed, to look, especially for like a rezoning, to look downstream and to say, okay, well, what kind of impact are you having downstream? Don't just come up with a blanket standard and say, okay, you've got to detain 50 years event. Let's look downstream and let's say, okay, well, what are you actually doing? And are there some conditions that can be placed on that development if it's approved to make things better than, or make them the same as they are now. Again, that one's a little bit different. I think there's some communities in North Carolina that do that. I think our consultant actually that did this, we sort of bounced some questions off of those folks, and I think they told us that the city of Raleigh actually has some rules that, so we're going to try to look at those and maybe put some rules in place that sort of help with that.
And I think that'd be paramount for us, because with going back to the Winding Creek community, the last major flood that they had there, that was their concern, that the community at the corner of Newtown and Potters,
I think it's Piper Meadows.
yeah, they were concerned about the runoff from there coming downstream and impacting their, their community. So, yeah, I think that'd be huge.
Yeah, I think so too.
I do think it's challenging, because we refer to 100-year storm, which are really just about probabilities, and things have changed.
Yeah.
Absolutely,
The world's not the same as it was 10, 20, 30, 40 years ago.
absolutely.
And so what worked when I don't know when Wesley Woods went in, but I think it's an older neighborhood, right? That those standards would be very different than a Winding Creek, which is newer.
That's right.
But generally, I guess in all of it's pretty much farmland.
Sure.
And so there was nothing, so the roads less, and the crossings and the culverts and everything else. And so of course we're always playing catch up with infrastructure around here. But any way we can figure out, at least for the little bit of land we have left remaining, how we can put more of the burden on the developers to protect the other properties,
Right.
I think would behoove all of us to kind of figure out how we can do that, whether that's in Wesley Chapel or Union County or across the mix, whatever, just to, because you have somebody that's there, like Wesley Wood, probably didn't have too bad of a flood problem. And then everything around it
Everything goes
happened.
around. That's right.
And so, yeah, how can we protect what we already have as we try to mitigate some of this, but also helping people to understand, right? Like you mentioned, these houses, yeah, they're listed a certain way, but now they really should get flood insurance. And really helping, is there something else we need to be doing to help get people with the right insurance?
Well, I always tell them, if anybody ever asks me, I mean, if anything can flood, but if you have a creek or a ditch or anything like that in close proximity to your house, it's not a bad idea to have flood insurance. And mainly, I mean, if you're in a zone X, which is what the vast majority of Union County is, it's relatively cheap, because that's a low risk zone according to FEMA.
And that's what all of these people in Wesley Woods are considered in the zone X,
Yeah.
because they're not in a mapped
Some
floodplain.
look like they would be in a lake.
Don't
Right.
forget, if the state ever comes through and says, okay, we're going to formally do a study here, they probably, they're out of the zone X, and their flood insurance will get way up, so.
But if you're in a zone X, flood insurance is relatively cheap. So I recommend folks to buy it. It's not a huge burden.
So what are our next steps? Like, have you presented to Indian Trail in the county
Indian
yet?
Trail has heard this, so the next step is take this to the county commission and present it to them, and then we will, I'm not sure what will happen after that.
Because obviously,
I mean, some of these are big numbers,
big.
but there is some relatively low-hanging fruit in there, but again, you do a $30,000 study, and then that tells you what the bigger number is, and then some decisions have to be made to whether or not anybody's going to actually fund those.
Do you have a date set yet for when you present it to Union County?
I don't, it'll be before, probably September. I want to throw that out there, not 100% sure of that. But I know the county commission is only doing one meeting in July and one meeting in August. I'm not sure about September. I'm not sure if they're doing one or two meetings then, but we'll likely should probably try to shoot something.
Would it be possible for you to communicate that to us once you get it on their docket?
Sure.
Okay.
Because, I mean, those are big numbers, but for Little Wesley Chapel, that's a big number.
Sure.
It's our budget.
That's, yeah,
Their
that's
annual
our, that's our
budget is some of
savings
those
account.
numbers.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, some of these could actually, so the brick grant that I was mentioning, some of this stuff could feed over into that too, because they will fund, I think they call it capacity building grants, which are essentially planning grants for studies like this, but they'll also fund projects that might be shovel-ready type things, where you have a price and you know what needs to be done. Maybe you've already done some preliminary engineering on it, so you can actually go out and fund some of those. That could be another way to.
I just don't want to be thumb wrestling for who gets to pay.
Understood.
But thank you. And do we have this in email?
You have a copy of it.
Email will get it. All right. Thank you, gentlemen. I appreciate it.
Well, thanks.
All right, that leads us to the consent agenda. We have our June meetings, minutes, our closed session meetings, and approving our CRT PO MOU. If I could have a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Unanimous? All right, and that leads us to the finance update.
So, for finance, we ended our fiscal year June 30th, 2026. Our books will remain open until sometime in August, maybe even September, as we try to handle all the accruals and close out the year. So that's an ongoing process there, finishing all that up. Harold's on vacation until July 20th, and the outstanding payments will be made then. And you did get a copy of the adopted budget, so, and that's been posted, everything. The other thing is we had the audit outstanding items, so we had a contract with S. Preston Douglas Associates for the FY 24-25 audit. They started working on that July 1 and are estimating completion the end of August. Haven't heard anything so far, so hopefully they have everything they need. And then once that work's complete, then we'll be in a position to do a contract for FY 25-26, consistent with their RFP response. And that audit should finish by the end of the year, which is the required date for submission to the LGC. And then they will do a presentation to council. And so, any questions? That's all.
That leads us to item number 7. Our air conditioning is on the fritz. It was off, now it's miraculously back on. Thanks to Mr. Mumpower out there, his magic dusting, which apparently made it come back on.
I smiled at it.
But we do, I mean, I'm going to turn it to Amy to talk over because I think we have like 4 units and I don't know, it's very complicated.
Well, remember, I think it was in April's meeting when the air went off, and Thursday I came in here, it was really hot, so we messed around with it, and so just the breaker was tripped, but then when I came in here on Friday, it was working again, so it's been working ever since. So Helms came, I had Helms come out to diagnose the problem, and your first, we do have a sheet with that. They quoted about $4,000 to repair the unit as is. We have 4 units that are all original to the building. He said the unit will most likely not make it through the summertime.
Question.
Yes.
Could you elaborate on the units? Because I know we have a gas unit, a gas furnace, or dual fuel, I'm not sure. And then we have some, I think, that are just heat pumps. The one for Chambers, is it just a heat pump or is it part of the gas?
I do not know the difference what a heat pump and the HVAC unit is. I thought they were all one thing, so
Okay.
I just know.
Because
that's the unit
because
that-
one of the quotes listed talked about gas and the other one didn't. And so I know we have at least one gas thing,
Okay.
but
I'm assuming all the units are gas.
I I don't think so.
Okay.
And that, because when you look at the units in the back, one's much larger than the others.
That's the one
Unit
that
size,
changed.
sure, yeah.
And so I'm not sure where they go either.
Okay.
There's a list, we do have a list somewhere, or I think Helms did.
So the one that he said was $4,000 was the unit just for, is it just chambers?
Just chamber.
It doesn't do any other part of the building?
No, just that, it's the largest one. So Helms is who we used years ago, I mean, for years. I've never had an issue with them, Cheryl never had an issue with them. For some reason, after Cheryl left, it was just, the service contract we had was discontinued. And since then, the units have not been getting serviced. So, we have, when Helms came, they said most likely we'll not make it through the summertime. I had 2 other companies come, and they said they concurred that it needs to be replaced. So that's where we're at now. We've got for you the quotes for replacement units and for service contract, what's included for that. So, I guess we need to decide whether or not we want to press our luck and just wait until it completely goes kaput, or go ahead and replace it. And since they're all the same age, do we want to go ahead and consider replacing all 4 units, or just one at a time when each one breaks, and then decide we want a maintenance agreement?
So, from a budget perspective, just to remind everybody, we budgeted $10,000 for an HVAC unit for the year. I had asked Amy to get some quotes, and most of the quotes came in some at the $9,000 to $10,000 range, with a higher level at 15-ish. So it's kind of that range. I went conservative because, just like we don't know for sure if we'll have to do this or if it'll miraculously heal or whatever. So just to let you know that that was something put into the budget. And I was just looking at the numbers, not doing a comparison to make sure we're doing apples to apples.
And if they're all replaced, they're all the same size?
No.
No. Okay. These 4 would be the different sizes.
That's different options. You can pick which one. So, like, my office is comfortable. Conference room here is nice and cool. So it's really just this room, and considering now we only might use it twice a month for council and planning board, that's something else to consider too. The rest of Village Hall right now is operating properly.
I think we at least need to replace this one, in my opinion, as it was not working. We're probably on borrowed time. But I don't vote.
Well, and if council decides to replace it, which I also support, I think we need to have 3 comparable quotes. So we need to make sure our specifications are consistent across them. And I'm not sure. And generally, for what, is it this one?
They are, excuse me, but each company specializes in different brands. So there's,
Well, yeah. No, what I'm saying is, one of them mentioned gas and something, I'm just like, that's what I mean, specifications. It's like, we need a 4-ton heat pump, we need a 4-ton AC only unit, we need a dual fuel, whatever those specifications are. I think we need to make sure we're getting the same quote from Trane, the same quote from Lennox, so that we're making a valid comparison. And then I think whichever company we go with, we gotta make sure they're a certified dealer, and so they're trained and certified for that brand, whatever, which I assume they are, they wouldn't be selling it. But then also that we would want to go with our maintenance contract with that company, not a different company, just in my opinion.
So who knows a lot about air conditioning that can champion this project? I got a new one, but I'm not an expert.
I can help. I can help with,
You can help me figure out the,
I don't know, council, I'm of the opinion that we fix what is broken at this point. And if the other 3 after we have them checked, if the other three are functioning enough to get us through another year or two,
So,
equipment only gets better
yeah.
and lifespan only gets shorter, but
But,
figure
so
that
you're
out.
saying you would rather spend $4,000 to fix the broken one instead of buying a new one?
No, I'm saying that we need to look and see exactly what is wrong with the one that is broken. I mean, we've got one opinion, right, from Helms, so that they would not fix it, they prefer to replace it.
The quote they gave us 4,000, and they said it's not a guaranteed fix.
I thought they gave us some detail on that. To replace the evaporator coil, the refrigerant, and a capacitor. And the big unit's the evaporator coil,
Right.
which I think is a big part of a unit,
Do we know how old that unit is?
since the building was built.
They're all
They're
original.
all
All
original?
original equipment.
Okay, yeah.
And that's why I think when one goes, there'll be a little marching line of
You're not of the opinion to replace them all? at
Not
one
right
time?
now.
Okay.
No, I
I'm
think
sorry,
we
I
need to be,
misunderstood that part.
no. I think we should replace this one now. And then I think we need to understand what all of them are
Yeah,
and what the pieces are, and then prioritize and plan for replacements.
I agree.
Because because I don't know what the layout is, right? But let's say, for example, one of them is Amy's office and the finance office, just that little end in the lobby. And it goes out. We don't care, we'll just let it be out, and they'll just sit there and sweat, or freeze, whichever the case might be, right? Probably not a great option. If it's the one for this end of the hall,
We've got time.
got time. So I'm just saying, but we don't know where anything goes.
And George did say we can exempt ourselves from 3 quotes, so like if we do
Well,
if we do decide to replace this one and really like the company that we've gone with and who we've got the maintenance contract with, we wouldn't necessarily have to go out and rebid the 3.
if Helms is Linux and the ones we have now are Train, it's like, do you want to switch or not? I don't know. I don't know what the difference is. But I do think there's something to be said for this amount of money to get quotes.
I agree.
If it were $3,000, I would say, sure, let's just go with that. But it could be $10,000 to $15,000. And maybe there's $1,000 difference between them. I don't know. But even this with Helms, hey, you got all these different options. Well, I don't even know that I'm specking out here for me to say which one's the best one for us.
So could we potentially make a motion to have David work with Amy on getting comparable quotes from these 3 companies just for this unit replacement? Or repair, whatever, I don't care. And authorize David to move forward up to a certain amount, so we're not sitting in here hot next month? Or do y'all want him to bring it back when we have another meeting?
Well, I agree with David. I've had my air conditioner fixed, for my heat pump or whatever. They just needed to replace a certain part, a coil or this, that, or the other, and it sure beats getting a brand new one. If it's something that can be fixed, why spend $14,000 when you could spend $4,000?
Well, the other little thing they don't point out here is the refrigerant is changing. So I guarantee you the refrigerant in this will start costing you an arm and a leg more than it was costing you. And if you got a leak, this, we're in a blank check.
Or we can have an emergency meeting when David gets his ducks in a row, or we can just know that it may be warm in here in August.
I brought my fan.
Yeah, I just think we need to have, I just don't think council in the past would have spent $10,000 to $15,000 without looking at more detail.
I agree completely, yeah.
So-
I say we need to study it.
So.
And I think this was good information for us to get our heads around kind of what we're talking about, but I'd just like to make sure we're kind of asking for apples to apples.
So are y'all good assigning it to David
Oh, yeah.
and having David and Amy work together
Yeah,
to
just
bring us a solution in August
or sooner.
or sooner? With an emergency need if we need to.
I mean, when
Do
she
you think
has-
planning board will meet in? No? So then, you got a month?
I got a month.
Yeah. And, you know, unfortunately, it is peak, let's replace our air conditioner season. Because it's only been 100 degrees.
All right, so we're good with that. This will be on our August agenda then. Mr. Boyce, thank you for being voluntold. All right, that leads us to the mayor report. I actually was unable to go to the last two meetings, so Deb is gone. So I'll let her give the update, but then after that, they have decided that they are going to change their meeting time to 3 p.m. on Thursdays, which makes it extremely difficult for me to attend. So I asked Deb if she'd be willing to step up as the primary representative for Wesley Chapel, and then to see if any of you are interested in being the alternate if Deb can't be there. They don't meet in July and December. And you would just coordinate the attendance with Deb if she couldn't be there. If not, I can stay, but I was going to offer it up if anybody was interested. Deb, you want to go?
Sure. Marvin, Mineral Springs, Weddington joined us in having no tax rate increase. All their budgets were passed with no tax increase. Stallings adopted its budget with a 2-cent tax increase because they said inflation is killing them. And they also need to allocate $1.4 million to a capital fund as the fund was low. Waxhaw adopted its budget for the coming fiscal year with a 7-cent tax cut and a $500,000 fund balance allocation. So, up and down. Marvin has published for its first quarterly mayoral newsletter to recap the council's actions. There will be a community open house August 11th in Marvin. Upcoming events include a car show at Marvin F. Eford Park on July 18th, a ribbon cutting ceremony for the Houston Ross Park in September, and a water feature that will soon be installed at the House Ross Park. Mineral Springs said that their previous audit has been accepted and they are now, a new auditor has been in place. Waxhaw has opened a new learning facility, and they are resurfacing their skate park. Weddington is in the process of hiring a town administrator and a planner, as well as interviewing candidates for a vacant council seat, with expectations to have all the positions filled within 30 days. And last but not least, as the mayor was saying, the delegates adopted a WUMA meeting schedule that moved the meeting time from 4 p.m. to 3 p.m. because of traffic and getting out earlier. So, not fighting traffic when the meeting's over. And I'll be happy to serve as primary.
Thank you.
There's a traffic problem in Weddington?
Nothing more than curiosity, but you said that Mineral Springs finished their audit and they have a new audit company. Are either one of those two the same?
Our prior auditor was their prior auditor.
Yeah.
Okay.
Their new auditor is our new auditor.
So there's light at the end of the tunnel, I guess, that's what
There
I'm
it
hearing.
is. And
Okay.
the prior auditor did complete their audit.
Yeah.
But not ours. How about Weddington's? Did they
I don't
ever
know.
get completed? Did they talk about
Yeah,
theirs?
you talk about there.
Because they also shared our prior auditor. So is there does anybody have any interest in being the alternate for WUMA?
I'm happy to do it.
It won't be problematic for you to get out of work if Deb can't?
As long as I know ahead of time.
Okay. I shouldn't miss too much.
Say
If
I have-
any, really.
Got some decent flexibility, I just need to know ahead of time.
Okay. All right, thank you, Jonathan, thank you, Deb, and I'll let Austin know, copy of both. So you know. All right, code enforcement report. Ooh, we have had some problems. But just to say, guys, if you get complaints, we need to be referring them directly to Alliance Code Enforcement. I guess here are some lovely handouts you can pass to people who like complaints, right, Amy?
Yes.
Our representative now is Charles Solar again. It went back to, it was somebody else and now it's Charles again. We've had some issues, but Alliance Code Enforcement handles our business.
And these would be great to hand any people who speak at public comments
Mhm.
about issues, just to hand in one of
Yeah.
these, Mayor.
Yeah,
When
put
they're
them right
speaking.
here. Put 'em in my cup. Amy, do you have some of these? We could make a copy and hand them out to those irate people who come in the.
Yes.
I think Amy made them.
Oh, did you? I love it, Amy.
They're gonna be bigger on hard stock, but the other day I ran out of hard stock, so they won't be as.
Put those in your wallet when somebody stops you, you can hand them, tell them where to call. Amy, do you have any comments you'd like to make about code enforcement?
No, I think that was it. Just, it's always unpredictable, but it seems like lately we have been receiving a lot of different complaints through the website. And just issues that may or may not be an issue, but
And some issues that aren't us, like homelessness, we sadly do not address. So if you have concerns, please call 911 or,
Sheriff's office or something.
yeah, it's not like, we do not have a department to address that. And then just please continue to pass along the Alliance Code Enforcement information.
The issue that Gordon's community faced with the burning, code enforcement will not get involved with that.
Yeah, that
The
would be,
route that he took was
Right.
the most prudent.
you probably went directly to the fire department, right? And then the North Carolina Department of DAC,
The,
Environmental Quality, I guess.
yeah, the fire department was called by the neighbors who lived right behind the house. It was 674 Underwood Inn. And the fire marshal went out there to the residents. They had piled it into this 8-foot stack of roots and debris and then just threw gas on it and torched it. So it burnt for days. But the fire marshal said since they had a permit, he couldn't do anything about it. And that's why he recommended that we work with the environmental.
And no one in Union County is allowed to bring things in from other places. Like your neighbor can't bring in trash from my yard and burn it at his house.
Correct.
So,
Whereas if I pushed up all the trees on my lot, which I wouldn't, but if I pushed all those up and burned them.
if you have a permit,
Yeah, if you have a permit, then that's.
But what I heard is also, even though you had a permit, if the smoke and everything is too bad, that might still be a violation.
It is.
Okay.
Under North Carolina Air Quality, they have several, I've got the NC, the number for it, but they listed several things, and the primary one was the one that you just referenced, is that you cannot transport commercial waste or debris to a residential address and burn it for disposal. And that's what they did by doing 2 dump truck loads and piling it up with a skid steer. So it was pretty messy.
I'm impressed with your efficiency, Gordon.
I get calls and try to do what I can, and I don't like to take no for an answer, so do my best.
Thank you. Fire district update. Lee said he had not been getting any of my emails, so he was gonna text me and we're gonna try to get together for the fire district. Then we have Debbie Royce, she's here with us again tonight. She has asked to be appointed to alternate seat 2 of the Board of Adjustment. Sadly, they don't meet very much, which is actually happily they don't meet very much. But she is here tonight to be appointed to the Board of Adjustment, which would be a council appointment. Would anybody like to ask Ms. Royce any questions or Are we good at moving forward with the appointment? Okay, so is that a motion to appoint Ms. Royce to alternate seat 2, term ending June 30th, 2026?
Yes.
No,
So,
no, the date's wrong.
Oh, term ending June 30th, 2029.
29.
So that was Deb's motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any further questions? All right, thank you for coming to join us. We always enjoy having some audience.
Thank you everyone, thank you.
All in favor? All right, and Amy will be in touch if there are ever any meetings.
Perfect, thank you so much, thank you council for being here.
And then we have board chair appointments. We need to do 2, so we need 2 separate motions. We need to reappoint Henry Byram Jr. to the Board of Adjustment chair.
AKA Butch.
Butch.
Motion to appoint Henry Byram Jr. to the Board of Adjustment Chair.
I'll second that.
Any further discussion? All in favor? And then we need to appoint Michael Kennery as the planning board chair. And it's my understanding the planning board came to the consensus they wanted that.
So moved.
I'll make that motion.
Okay, so Deb, you second? Okay. Any further discussion? Other than, he's not here, but thank you, Chair Kennery, for continuing to serve. You too, Mr. Butch Byron. All in favor? All right, unanimous. And then next we come to the oath of office for our village clerk. So I know her lovely husband is here. So Amy has been very patient with us. Oh, where would you like to do this, Miss Mumpower?
We can do it right here.
Over there?
Raise the screen up and let her go from the seal.
You want to come do it from the seal?
No.
No?
Gotcha.
From the
No, I
seal?
didn't hear it. I was just bringing them.
While we get up here, I just want to publicly thank Amy for her patience in
Oh, she did.
dealing with some of y'all. I'm a delight.
Now, I'll take a picture.
I just want to go to the record to say, I tell Lori and I tell Amanda this all the time. I don't think I've told anybody else. Y'all are not, as long as I'm working here, y'all are not allowed to stop.
You're what?
You're not allowed to stop serving on council. It's no big deal, because it's a great team, I think.
Where's the remote to turn it off?
Can you turn that light off there?
Oh,
Yeah. Is it this one?
Really give you the nickname of radar because you can anticipate more things than most people.
Yes.
Just turn it off.
Yes, so that, I think it's, we're not going to need it again. Okay.
Which one gets on the bottom?
The right hand. There we go, raise your right hand.
Raise your right hand. Okay. All right. Okay. I, Amy Mumpower,
I, Amy Mumpower,
do solemnly and sincerely swear
do solemnly and sincerely swear
that I will support the Constitution and laws of the United States,
that I will support the Constitution and laws of the United States,
that I will be faithful in their true allegiance to the state of the North Carolina,
that I will be faithful in the true allegiance to the state of North Carolina,
and to the constitutional powers and authorities which are or may be established for the government thereof,
and to the constitutional powers and authorities which are or may be established for the government thereof,
that I will endeavor to support, maintain, and defend the Constitution and laws of said state,
that I will endeavor to support, maintain, and defend the Constitution and laws of said state,
not inconsistent with the Constitution of the United States, to the best of my knowledge and ability,
not inconsistent with the Constitution of the United States to the best of my knowledge and ability,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of my office as village clerk, so help me God.
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of my office as village clerk, so help me God. Thank you.
We need a picture.
Amy, come back.
I videoed it, so I need to get a picture of you now.
It's legit.
Okay, good.
Thanks.
Congratulations.
I get the pre-speech.
And Amy,
My speech again is, not allowed, we got stay on council as long as I'm here.
and Amy will be starting her official training in October of this year.
No, August, that's
August of this
Yeah.
year. Thank you, Mr. Monheim. And thank you for fixing it. Okay. That brings us to the personnel policy and job description update. Lori and I did have a meeting with the MAPS group and some feedback about the organization of staff moving forward with Amy stepping into our clerk position and having a separation with a finance officer. We need the MOU with the MAPS group approved so we can move forward. I'm assuming they're not going to actually start work until we've agreed to pay them. It is $5,000, but there is a grant through the NCLM that will reimburse us for $2,500, but I cannot apply to that, I think, until August. But she is going to send me the information as soon as it becomes publicly available. So tonight I'm asking council to approve the MOU and approve the expenditure, which the finance officer has said there is money in administration to cover, and then to approve me applying for the NCLM grant for reimbursement of $2,500.
So there's no money budgeted for this, but because we're at the beginning of the budget year, we can move money around for this line item, and then when we need to, we can move money from contingency.
So, is there a motion to approve the MOU to work with the MAPS group to update our personnel policy and job descriptions?
Motion to approve the memorandum of understanding of agreement with the MAPS group for revision of personnel policy and job descriptions.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Unanimous? And then we just need approval to spend the $5,000.
Motion to extend the $5,000.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Jonathan. All in favor? And then I just need a motion for me to apply for the grant when it becomes available in August.
So motion.
I'll second it again.
All in favor? All right. That leads us to the discussion of the potential sale of the village-owned land. Emily, did you get the deed from George? No. George is working on the deed, but he did advise me on moving forward. Let me read it to you. His suggestion is I will follow up with him again to get the deed, or Emily can. Both of us can bother him. But our next step would be to contact a broker who can give us an informal broker's opinion of the value and talk about the market for the property. And that we could interview multiple brokers and then decide who to list the property with. So I just need the direction from council on what you want me to do. And I don't know any brokers, so.
Have we discussed the sale of the property with that, Aspen?
Yes. Oh, they know.
But they're not interested in doing it?
They haven't said yes or no.
Okay.
We're still waiting on them to record the plat for the stormwater.
They haven't.
They haven't?
They have, no, I'm sorry, they have not. They have in their possession, well,
But they
they
have
have
not.
not recorded it.
So we have, Emily has been pestering them to get the plat recorded. We've been pestering George to get the deed. And now we'll be finding a broker to pester. So I just need council to tell me what you want me to do. Do you want me to reach out to 3 brokers? And,
Well, if we're gonna end up interviewing or having to choose between multiple brokers, instead of just getting one broker to give us an informal value, why wouldn't we just go ahead and ask 3 opinions now? And kind of kill 2 birds with 1 stone, right? Kind of like, hey, these are 3 different brokers, here's their credentials, much like when we were choosing an engineering firm or whatever, here's their credentials. And what do you think of the property we're trying to sell? And then we've got that information, and then we can look at that and choose which one we want to go with. Seems,
I agree. I mean, it's almost like you're getting 3
quotes.
appraisals.
3 appraisals.
Yeah, yeah.
And if they perhaps may say, I can give you a real estate or a broker assessment, but also maybe you need a full commercial appraisal or something. I don't know what they might say, right? So I think, like, if you have 2 say one thing and 1 say something else, I think that's always good to hear.
Okay. If you have any contacts, if you will forward them to myself and Emily and I will reach out and try to get at least three appraisals, informal appraisals, and bring it to you and their credentials.
Have them reach back out to either you or Amy,
Me or Emily.
or Emily, I'm sorry, Emily.
Or if you just give them their name, give us their name and number, we'll reach out.
Okay.
'Cause I wouldn't even know where to start.
Yeah. And I do think Aston's had more than enough time to have the plat recorded. They're choosing not to, it's their own business. But then that we're still got this issue, now we're ready to sell the land. They've not expressed any interest in it, but we cannot allow them to hold us up.
I do know that they have expressed interest.
Oh.
Because when I asked them why I haven't recorded, she's like, it's been sitting on the desk, because I guess because we haven't been pushing it. So they're just sitting on it because we kind of let it sit.
Well, you would think after you've done a legal deal with somebody, they'd go ahead and record the
You would
documents
think.
without being pushed by the other party.
Emily, do you know if we have right of way to the property?
Yes.
We do, okay,
Right away in perpetual stormwater
okay,
rights.
great, okay.
To that pond. Do you want Emily and I to be very firm and tell Aston we need that recorded as soon as possible? They could always make an offer, right, which would trigger like an upset bid and appraisal, right?
I don't know the ins and outs of all that.
I think that's the same as
I
what
don't
when
wanna
we
say
did the
right. I don't
last.
wanna say anything wrong.
Yeah, when we did the easement, the same process that, because Aston was making an offer and George said we then had to allow for an upset bid. Of course, no one else was interested.
Right.
Yeah. All right, so Emily and I will push back.
Well, Pastor, I will send that over.
Yep, and we'll
Please
pester
let us know.
Aston to get the deed recorded again. And see, it's good we're starting this process. It takes so long. And then we'll get George and then try to, before next month, have,
Actually, I'm gonna see Karen on Monday.
oh, you're going to see Karen on Monday? Oh.
Well, you can tell her that council just voted to contact 3 brokers for bids because we're very aggressively working to sell the land.
Okay. And then that leads us to the planning board report. So I'm going to turn that over to Emily, and then she can go straight into her planning
We
report.
didn't have a planning board meeting.
So that is easy. Done.
But we do have a lot of stuff going on. It's just in the review process. So, we have a couple, we have 1, 2, 3, 4. I have 5 subdivisions that are in different phases of development and review. Wonderland subdivision, which is near the intersection of Newtown and Cuthbertson Road. That is in sketch plan review. That's approximately 47 lots, right, literally right there near where they're putting the roundabout. Aurora at Price Mill, y'all just did the preliminary plat, so they're going to be starting site work in the next couple of weeks, at the beginning of August.
And they will be removing the giant tree then. Tell all your friends who are complaining.
Horn subdivision, y'all saw that a couple months ago when they were getting their approval for the long cul-de-sac. That is on Waxhaw Indian Trail Road. They are in the preliminary plat review phase of that. It's about 38 lots, or it is 38 lots. Quintessa Phase 5 is in the very back of Quintessa. It's 14 lots. They're also in the preliminary plat review process. And unnamed sketch plan. It's approximately 25 lots. Approximately, it is just west of Aurora at Price Mill. Long, slender piece of property.
Which side of the road?
It's on the south side of Weddington.
Is it next to Reddish City?
It's on the western side of Aurora at Price Mill.
So that should be close to Quintessa, yes?
Other
No,
side,
other side of the road.
Other side.
Other side.
like Franklin's.
Yeah, that next little empty piece.
Yeah.
It's a little long.
Yeah, it's a little empty piece right beside where it,
Yeah.
yeah, before you get to
Right
the
where
house.
the road
Yeah.
dips. We just got sketch plan, it doesn't have an unnamed sketch plan. So, as I say, we haven't had a planning board meeting because we're, got a lot of stuff, but it's still in interview phase on the administrative side.
Let's just make sure we don't have any stormwater problems.
Yes. I put in front of you the latest plans that I downloaded from Aston's website. And I did add in, I just got in, they hadn't updated this, but hand and stone massage will be going in, beside the mattress frame. Officially hand, stone, massage, and facial. That is what's coming at Aston.
Just remember, Amanda, when you do the grand opening for that, the ribbon cutting, you do have to bring the gift basket in and put it in the counter area.
We have to share. And then you had in your packet a copy of the spreadsheet for the transportation projects that are going on. There were not any updates for that, but just, George, in response to your question about the traffic light and all, that would be part of the Ray Road extension. And I just noticed when I looked at it that NCDOT's taken down the maps that were on that website, so I'm hoping they're redoing them because there were a couple of different things on there that we had some comments about, so, and everything is, I know they're doing the right-of-way acquisition in that phase, but, so that's part of that large Ray Road extension, so.
How far out is that, do you know?
Well, that's what I'm saying, I literally just looked right down, and the maps were all down, so I don't know.
Yeah, I was concerned because as soon as they started opening up all these businesses, the amount of traffic coming out of these intersections is going to quadruple.
The information that I had from CRTPO, from in our CRTPO packet, from the state, says that the right-of-way acquisition was partially on hold, and they're probably going to let it in 2028. So still a ways out. Like I said, the maps were taken down, so I don't know what they're proposing right now.
And Gordon, I sent you an email. If you will put what you said in public comment in writing about the line of sight and stuff
Yes,
in
ma'am.
an email to me, and I'll follow up.
Yeah, I was gonna say, if we could get any safety data on the intersection and say, in the meantime, we need some sort of solution,
But I think presenting that line of sight information might
be very
help.
helpful.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah, I went off of, there's a, I'm sorry, I don't mean to, I got that information from the City of Charlotte Department of Transportation. I was all flying and I garnered that from there. So, yeah, they were pretty specific. So, again, it's already a challenge, but once they start opening up all those businesses, the Publix, the Ice Hardware, the Novons, and all those other things, then the traffic's going to quadruple coming out of there. It's going to be even more difficult and even more hazardous.
And it's just like stormwater. It just trickles down and, you know.
Yes, ma'am.
All right.
And along the lines of crash data, I'm actually having, we had a meeting, CRTPO meeting a couple weeks ago, and there's a program, what do we call it, Crash, where we can get crash data. And I have a online training session on that tomorrow morning.
So yeah, will you pull some, will your practice rounds be pulling some at the two entrances of Wyndham?
I can use that. I can look at that. So that's what I'll be learning about tomorrow morning. So, any
Anything
questions?
I have one, but it's not technically inside the village, it's just outside the village.
Okay.
The roundabout expansion that they're doing over at Indian Trail, Waxhaw Highway.
Indian Trail and Potter.
Near Spirit of Joy, right?
Yeah, because
Yeah.
there's nothing I can find on that at all.
I drove through this today coming in. I know they've been other working.
They're basically adding a right lane
They
to
added,
go
yes, I
north or
noticed
south.
today when I was coming in, it's all paved, they got the cones out, and they've got sort of the chalk outline of the, it actually made it easier, I guess.
It's moved pretty quickly, and it
helped.
mirrors the Potter Wesley Chapel roundabout, kind of with the turn lane.
Yeah,
but
so
kind
I
of
was
like
able to
Jonathan said, it just
turn.
happened.
I don't know, yeah, it just sort of happened, I don't.
I can't find any information on DOT, I can't find any, because that's in Weddington. I don't find any information in Weddington.
No,
So it's just kind of like, it appeared one day.
they were out there working for a long time on it.
Maybe
But
you
like I
could,
said, it helped today when I was coming in, because I made, turn to come here, and
I mean, and
somebody
that,
else was right beside me going around the roundabout.
as I said, the roundabout's smaller than it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
So it's nice that it's there, it just would be nice to know who's doing it.
you maybe could ask
And
Lady
when it's gonna be
Weddington.
finished.
What's that?
You could ask Lady Weddington.
What did you say, David?
And when it's gonna be finished.
Yeah.
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 And it's gotta be close.
It should be
It looks like
close.
great, just
It
do 18 now.
Yeah.
I mean, they did the patching, they're clearing it out and patching it, and then the final payment, it's all been, what, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, maybe?
I don't know, but I would be seen that fast before we're repair.
Yeah, they had a chalk outline sort of already
Yeah.
out there. They said they just have to paint it. I don't know.
Maybe it was like a,
Outline and paint it.
It is chalk outline, they have to paint it.
I'm thinking code enforcement being contacted, sorry.
maybe Weddington got like a buy three, get one free.
Maybe. Can we get on that here?
All right, any further questions for Emily? All right, Mr. Lepke, if you'll come on up. Are you walking a little stiff there?
Good evening, Council. Just to give you a heads up to begin with, when you sat out there and you're a little bit hard of hearing, and you guys are talking into your screens, can't be heard. You spent a lot of money last year on microphones, which are unidirectional. If they're pointed up in the air or moved to the side, they don't work. So if you'd like to use that very expensive equipment you purchased, I suggest you put the microphone in front of your face so people out there can hear you.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
All right. First thing, pond done. They did an amazing job. 2 weeks ahead of my target to do it by the end of June. Slightly under the budget. Don't know exactly how much under budget, but 5, 6, 10,000, something like that. Under the money that was available. That's still grant money. Had a schedule. Under budget. Can't ask for anything better. We now need to release the bond, so I'd like somebody to make a motion, you guys to vote on releasing the bond. I think I sent you all the report from Amy Black's final inspection. Perfectly happy with the job. Everything's done according to the specification. She signed off on it, so I'm sure the contractor would now like to see their bond release. Do you want to do that before we move on?
Yes, I would say, but I've got one question. Other than the bond, they've been paid completely?
I believe so.
They submitted 2 invoices, and we wrote the checks the last week of June.
Perfect, okay.
Have they got the check?
No,
Why not?
I thought you were contact them and tell them it's ready.
No, I was not going to contact them.
Yeah, I thought you were, that we have the check now, so.
Well, can you please contact them and get them the payment?
Yes.
Because we're past the deadline when we were supposed to pay the invoices now.
So it's
And
ready.
And then Amy Black's, I asked her to expedite her invoice. She's now sent us her final invoice for the final inspection. So I think we've got everything on the finance side to close out the project. And then we got a little bit of balance, which is a nice segue into my next topic.
We may have a little bit of balance.
So, as you know, we had to drain the pond completely, so we have no fish.
Hold on,
And now,
wait. Do we need to do a motion to release the bond first?
Yeah, so at this point, they haven't been paid completely. We do have Amy Black's approval. Is there any need for us holding the bond? Not at all?
No, the work's been done.
Okay.
And Amy signed off. I think that's what the whole purpose, it's a performance bond,
Yeah.
and they performed as expected.
Okay.
And this is done, but who officially releases it?
I have no idea.
I think when you guys release the bonds on subdivisions, you guys vote.
Right, I know that. I know we do a motion, but
Yeah.
who
I
does it
don't-
after that?
I don't know what happened after that.
I'll work on it.
Well, after a letter needs to be written to them saying that they can give it to their bond company.
The bonding agent, yeah.
And you're comfortable doing that?
Me?
Yeah. Amy's gonna do it. Okay. All right.
So tell me what needs to be said.
I said a letter.
Okay. All right, so can I have a motion for the clerk to write a letter to release the performance bond for our contractor who did the sediment removal job?
A motion that we do that.
Is there a second?
A second.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Unanimous.
All right, on to the mosquito problem. Absolutely no fish in the pond. We drained it. Any substantial fish the herons got, and we may have had some little ticklers in there. Since the project's been finished, the pond is refilled to post-breach level. The only thing we got swimming in the pond are tadpoles. Now we've got lots of frogs around the pond, little baby frogs, which is causing another problem with snakes. But we've got nothing to control mosquito larvae. We've got perfect mosquito breeding ground. I've had a discussion with NC Wildlife biologists for our district, talked about chemicals, talked about fish. Don't want to restock the pond completely because we know we may lose those fish again when we come to fix the dam, but we do need something in there to eat the mosquito larvae so we're not having complaints about people being eaten alive by mosquitoes in the park. The recommendation of the NC State Wildlife biologist was to put in 500 to 1,000 bluegill. I'm going with 500. He suggested some shell cracker or red ear sunfish. You can't get those right now because most of the fisheries are shut down. And then there's a little minnow fish called a mosquito fish. He said put about 1,000 of those in. There are 2 fisheries close by. One of them shut for the season now. I had an opportunity to go collect some from Dallas, but we hadn't had a decision, so that opportunity passed. There is one fishery 75 miles south of here, and that will still make a delivery, but he only has bluegill and mosquito fish. The biologist suggested we have the fishery deliver it because they fill the bag with oxygen. And if I went to pick them up, he said you're at risk of losing all the fish if you just got them in a pail trying to get them here. So the cost, we were quoted for 500 bluegill and 1,000 mosquito fish, $975.
How much?
$975. And I think it would be a reasonable argument that since we lost all the fish because of the pond clean out, we allocate that $975 should you approve it to the pond project.
No, not until I get approval. I have a meeting set up to discuss that.
Okay.
But we can say, if council chooses to approve it, we could say potentially, if possible, from the dam, if not from the park.
Right.
Line
Council
items.
approves the 975 includes the delivery,
Yes.
and it approves the 975, and then approves, you could separately say approve expending grant funds to cover it if it's approved.
Okay. And you said you were going to reach out about the permit. Did you?
Yes, I already have.
Okay.
Because the pond was adopted by NC Wildlife as a community fishing hole, we need to get their sign off anytime we put fish in there. I had a discussion with the biologist who processes that permit application. He sent me the permit application. I completed it for the fish that were available. I couldn't get the red ear sunfish, or I would have put those in, but they're just not available this time of year. So I just put in the permit the 1,000 mosquito fish and the 500 fingerling bluegills. They're only small, 1 to 3 inches. But in a year they'll grow to a pound, they reckon, eating all those mosquito larvae.
Did the, I'm assuming that the clean out also took care of the turtle problem.
New. So the turtles are coming back. Before we did this whole project, I talked to NC Wildlife again. They said, don't worry about the turtles. Once all the work starts, they'll leave. And then once they learn it's filled back up with water, they'll come back. So the turtles are starting to come back. But right now, the only things swimming around the pond are lot tadpoles. So we need to get some fish in there to munch on the mosquito larvae.
So council, is there a motion to approve for John's $975
Fish stocking.
for fish restocking with the permit?
Contingent upon, I won't place the order until I get the permit from NC State. So if they say no, they're not going to say no because he recommended this stocking level. But I won't place the order for fish until I have the NC State permit now.
What's the motion?
Is there a second?
Second, just so that we can have further discussion. How long will it take to get the permit?
He said 5 to 7 days. I sent the permit in Thursday last week, I think, so I'll probably have it by the end of this week. It has to go to Raleigh. He signs off on it, send it to Raleigh. Somebody in Raleigh signs off on it, sends it back to him, he sends it to me. So I'm expecting by the end of the week.
My only concern is timing. Typically, you stock a pond early in the spring late in the fall because of the water temperatures.
Right.
I'm concerned that the water temperatures may be too high at this point, especially with the temperatures that we have had recently, and we're not gonna get the survival rate. If we put it off to the proper time to stock it, September, October, then we're not,
We're not controlling mosquitoes.
bingo, yeah.
Chemicals won't work, the inflow and outflow through the pond will just dilute any chemical we put in there. Laurie suggested mosquito hook things. That's just way too expensive for the area of pond we got. They're more designed for like a bird bath kind of thing than a great big pond. And the fact that they float, they wouldn't stay where we put them. They'd all end up against the dam and they'd be completely ineffective.
That's my only concern, that we spend $1,000 on populating the pond, and, if we continue to have the hot temperatures that we've had recently, we see half of the fish that we've populated with floating on the surface in a couple of weeks.
Half of them is better than none, in my opinion.
So we will move the motion, pull the motion back or re-motion to have it only if it comes out of the dam funds, and then we can revisit repopulating stocks when it's appropriate time of the year.
We need to do it now because of the mosquitoes and stuff. I mean, we were talking about waiting several months. I mean,
I'm saying that if we get the funds out of the grant, do it right now. But if we don't, then we revisit the situation and try to get closer to the time period they're at, as opposed to throwing
You
our
need
money
some-
at it now and then our money again at it in 3 months.
Well, we're in peak mosquito season. We need to do something about mosquitoes. So.
because they're dangerous. They really are. They carry disease.
John, did you say that you reached out to fisheries other than Southland, and they don't have fish?
They closed for the season. They were on the final deliveries, I think it was 2 weeks ago. He said, we're making our last delivery near you to Dallas, North Carolina, which wasn't too far. But I haven't got approval to do anything, so I missed that delivery. They're not making any more deliveries around here till September.
Till September, October.
Right.
Yeah.
But the fishery in South Carolina, Southland Fisheries, they will make a delivery. And he sent me the quote including the delivery. They put them in a bag filled with oxygen, and they bring them out and they release them in the pond.
I agree, we've got to have some means to curb the mosquitoes. My only thoughts are that we may be doing this again come September, October.
All right, so there's your discussion. All in favor of restocking John's $975 with permit pending? All in favor? That's 3 in favor, all opposed. 1 being Mr. Boyce, not to single him out or anything.
I will have to, yes, I do.
All right, so John, so now we just need a motion to, if funds are available, to take the $975 from the grant money if it works.
I make a motion that if we receive OSBM approval for the fish purchase, we use the grant funds to pay for this.
Second that.
All in favor? Unanimous? Okay, next.
Right. When we put the pond fountain back in place and tried firing up, it didn't work. So Foster Lake Management took a look at the control panel and quoted us $3,080.80 to replace the whole panel inside the controller. Myself and Big Dave got on the phone to the manufacturer, and I took from home my little meter to measure everything. We did some diagnostics, and as far as I could tell, it was a burnt out contactor. I looked online thank God, we have somebody who used to fix fighter aircraft, because putting a 230-volt contactor into this panel took him 15 minutes today, and our fountain is now working.
Wow.
So you don't have to give me $3,080 to get the fountain working. It costs us $18.
Thank
15
you.
minutes a day is like.
And extend our thanks to Dave too.
I think we may have an issue with the breaker in there, the 240-volt breaker. It's working fine, the fountain's working. But when you hit the test button on the breaker, it doesn't trip. So that breaker's probably $100, 230-volt breaker. So if need be, I'll replace the breaker down the road if the fountain stops working again. But that'll be another $100, which I'll just do out of general supply. The great news, we saved us $3,060 today.
Good job, John. Can we retake that vote on the fish now?
I don't know who put staff uniform policy in there. I don't know why that was in there. I did, following last council meeting, send you guys an estimate of what I think we need to buy per employee. I think that's what you asked me to do, that's what I did then.
Yeah.
So I don't know why staff uniform policy is on there.
Because one day you won't be here, so we're going to have the ducks in a row. So we compared to other uniform policies. Laura, do you want to speak? I don't. Waxall does boots, steel-toed boots, shirts, pants, when people start, and every year they get 3 new ones and a new pair of boots. Stallings gives them the money and they purchase pending approval. They give them $150. Indian Trail has different styles. Their budget is $2,000, and this year we budgeted $1,000 for Parks and Rec.
Indian Trail budget is $2,000 for 7 full-time staff members and up to 15 part-time staff members.
Each or total?
Total.
Total.
So do you just want to put in our policy that we will buy one? How often do you replace your boots? Two times? One time? Annual boots
Yeah, you get about a year out of a pair of boots.
and annually boots, safety equipment, and t-shirts and pants.
Well, I think we need to be careful because are we going to include gloves, hearing protection, respiratory protection in uniforms, or are we just going to consider those as part of supplies? Helmets, hard hats, whatever.
I've just been getting them from supplies so far, not as uniforms.
Well, I'm just asking for clarification from a policy perspective. When you say work equipment.
Okay. Supplies good for that.
I mean, OSHA requires we wear glasses, ear protection, head protection, foot protection, hand protection. Really should have chaps when we're using chainsaw, but we don't.
Do you want chaps?
Bit cumbersome. And I've only
Yeah, it's
sliced my
you don't have
hands
a leg.
once with the chainsaw, so.
I think we should require it.
Well,
Our chaps, I'm sure, required when operating chainsaws.
it's recommended.
I recommend you don't cut your leg.
I agree. I'll do my damnedest not to cut my leg off.
He's rather attached to them.
But input.
All right. Any further questions about staff uniforms. We'll do safety gear on supplies and
So are we?
close out of the budget item, the $1,000 budget item. I think that should be sufficient. Question, Mr. Allen?
Yeah, I was gonna ask if we wanted to amend the policy to be more like Waxaws, where we offer X amount of items per year. If we wanted to continue more along the lines of Nutra, where it's up to them with just a dollar amount for the budget line.
I'm of the opinion of keeping it simple, you know, provide a dollar amount and whatever needs to be purchased out of that dollar amount, purchased.
Any further questions? Okay.
Questions?
Sure.
Just to make sure it's clear, I'm going to write a policy, a uniform policy, and to state what John had recommended last month in your email with the number, was it like 10 shirts? And
I think 5 shirts per annum, you get 5 short sleeve, 5 long sleeve. I can't remember what it was, but I sat down and thought about it, historically what we've used, about how long they last, and that's where I came up with the list.
Sure. So shirts, and you said for pants, how many pants?
Well, you'd never reimbursed for pants before, I've been paying for all my own. They depend on the quality. If you buy Carhartt or whatever it is, they're $80 a pair. I don't buy them. I go to Walmart and when they're on sale and they're $20 a pair.
So you can just put it in pants.
Okay. Then I'll bring it back next month for approval.
Sure.
Okay.
Okay.
Anything else?
Anything else from Mr. Lutke? Thank you, Mr. Lutke. Mayor and council comments.
I just want to thank you guys for agreeing to do the Butterfly Highway and the mayor's water plant. I appreciate it. I'm excited about it. It's going to be awesome. Appreciate your support.
Next.
And to that point, I did not see the PowerPoint in our package. You said that we do have it?
Well, she emailed it to me, and I emailed it to Amy, so Amy has it. She can
Okay.
email it to all of
Okay.
us.
Okay, good.
And the PowerPoint, no.
Yeah.
Not to everyone, no. That was just.
No, will you email it to everybody?
We want to.
Oh,
Oh, sorry, you thought you were saying I emailed. I didn't say.
No. So will you email it?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
Next.
We're going in line. Normally, and I don't even know if this is possible, Amanda, but normally I would have talked to you since you're the alternate on Carpo. I literally found out as I was walking in past Jonathan that I've got to be in St. Louis starting tomorrow through the end of the week. So I will not be able to attend the Carpo meeting on Wednesday night. Hate to throw that on you.
Is it important?
There's still a lot of talk about the 77 South ramifications and, you know, which municipalities are in, we're not in, now in, may
So
not
you
be
want me
in.
to go? I can go.
I'm sorry. Like I said, I found out at 5 minutes till 7.
I'll do it.
Where are those meetings at?
The Charlotte Government Center on McDowell, I think.
At the courthouse.
Would you like me to support that night?
Sure.
I'll block all work.
Really. Thank you.
What the sacrifice?
Oh, whatever. I'll work it out like it's quick.
Yeah, I just need to talk to you maybe for a minute beforehand.
Okay, that's fine. I think George is not here. I've got a quote.
Oh gosh, he did ask for permission to miss. Yeah.
Philip Ross said one time, everybody becomes a part of history whether they like it or not, and whether they know it or not. next week, there's a very, very historical event that takes place every year from the third Sunday through the fourth Sunday of July. Cite a meeting that has taken place for almost 200 years now. And it's right down the road. It's not in Wesley Chapel, but it's adjacent to Wesley Chapel. And that's the Pleasant Grove Campground. I encourage you, if you've never, I mean, I'm sure that you all have driven past it when there's no activity going on. And my wife, the first time that we drove by, thought it was a crack village, you know, and it sort of, I mean, it could give off that impression, but during that week, it is just a whirlwind of activity. If you get a chance, starting next Sunday, this coming Sunday, if you get a chance, stop by there, because it is a part of history right here. And if you want an ice cream sandwich, tent number 46, we've always got a box of ice cream sandwiches, so that invitation's out there.
I'm sorry, what kind of event is it?
It's the Pleasant Grove Annual Camp Meeting.
Oh, just the camping, okay,
Yeah,
great.
yeah. They call the cabins tents. We won't be living in a tent, we'll be living in a cabin.
Not originally a Methodist
Yeah,
Their
there's actually a
annual
Methodist
ordinance.
church on the grounds, but,
organization,
Yeah,
like
but,
100 years or something.
yeah, but the grounds are owned by trustees that have been handed down, you know, year after year after year for 200 years. And fortunately, I had the honor of being elected in as a trustee this year, so very happy about that.
Thank you to Jonathan and Deb for stepping up for WIMA, and David for the AC, and Jonathan has agreed to work with Amy on some website stuff, and as Lori, we're always dealing with the finance side of things, and to John and Dave for saving us
$3,060.
yes. And for Emily for all her hard work with our 5 upcoming subdivisions. It seems like we've had nothing, and now it's like bam, 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 bam. Not sure where these people are getting water and sewer, but that's a whole different conversation. And now that our water and sewer rates have risen so high, we all will be hurting. I'm about to put water on the timer at my house for showers. But thank you all for coming. Thank you for joining us tonight, and you too, Gordon, and that's all I have to say. Mrs. Spade?
I don't have anything.
I just have a quick note. I just want to admit that, you know, here in Union County, we have a lot of great stuff going on in Union County. You know, we do have our own deputy here in Wesley Chapel, and we appreciate a great deal. And then today I had the opportunity to interact with a lot of his comrades down at the courthouse. I was not being, I was there for professional reasons, not being detained or dragged through there. But just that we do have an amazing and a professional crew of teams. I walked in there, I've been to the Union County Courthouse on official business 3 times in my career. Once in 2012, once about 3 months ago, and then once today. And when I walked in to the courtroom, the bailiff looked at me and said, "You trimmed your beard." Like, I hadn't been there in 3 months. And he remembered me from the last time I was there. And you know, I don't even want to fathom how many hundreds, if not thousands of people come through there in a week, that he had enough time to say, "Hey, you're an attorney, you've been here before, this is great." So I just want to, you know, commend the professionalism of the Union County Sheriff's Department, especially with our courthouse details. It was very nice to see such a professional, well-organized, you know, in a very chaotic situation, team of people working together. So it was just a cool thing to observe today.
Thank you. All right, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor? Thank you all for coming.